Now, this is a question I got asked recently, and that is, what are the Uber driver requirements to drive in New York City? For whatever reason, New York City is ultra specific and very different compared to a lot of other cities. So let's get right into it. Starting it off with the driver requirements, you need to be at least 21 years of age, have at least 1 year of driving experience, and 3 years of driving experience if you are under the age of 23, be able to pass a background check, and have a valid driver's license, proof of insurance, and a bank account. That's just for you. Now let's get into the vehicle. This is where things get really tricky. I'm going to go to another page now, and there's a lot to unpack. So this goes for both Uber and Uber Eats, but Uber Eats may have kind of specific different terms. So in this video, I'm really focusing mainly on driving for normal Uber, or being an Uber driver. Going down here now, as a driver vehicle owner of a for-hire vehicle, or an FHV, you are required to follow the Taxi and Limousine Commission rules, called the TLC. These apply to the license you hold. So when you actually sign up to be a driver in New York City, you need a special license, a TLC, compared to a lot of other cities. And as you can see, among other things, the TLC rules require drivers and or vehicle owners to, so as you see, there's a lot. Get your FHV, or for-hire vehicle, inspected at least once every 4 months. Display your TLC driver's license when you're driving and operating the vehicle. There's a lot of other tricky things, and I thought about going really in-depth on this video, but I'm really trying to scrape the surface. Overall, you need to get, like I said, a TLC. Your car needs to be inspected a lot. There are a lot more rules and regulations in New York City compared to a lot of other areas. Even going down here now, and this is a big thing to keep in mind, a lot of drivers might not know this. Drivers are limited to a combined 10 hours of driving on trips transporting passengers. The 10-hour limit does not include time spent waiting to pick people up and whatnot, but it includes when you're driving people around, and you can reset this by taking an 8-hour break. So really you're looking at driving maximum 10 hours within reason, depending on your sleep schedule, within a 1-day window, or like a 24-hour window is the way I look at it, because 10 hours plus 8, I mean, that's already 18 hours there, so 6 hours, or 6 to 8 hours for sleep, right? In addition, drivers are also limited to 60 hours of passenger time each calendar week. So if you want to do, like, say, a marathon week of driving as much as you can, you are capped at 60 hours, so keep that in mind. Now, going to the TLC, which is, things get really tricky. NYC, like I said earlier, requires a special license. So Uber and NYC has a fantastic earning opportunities, yada, yada, yada. Unlike in other cities, you need a special license from the TLC, Taxi and Limousine Commission, to drive for Uber in New York City. The whole process should take 4 to 6 weeks. So I don't know, again, especially right now, this is the exact time of this video, we have things going on with COVID and the Omicron variant. There might be new variants coming out, I don't know. This is something to keep in mind. I've personally not driven New York City before. So maybe the process could take you a couple weeks. Maybe it's gotten a lot more expedited. Maybe it takes even longer. Maybe it takes closer to 2 months. I honestly don't know, but in terms of signing up to be a driver, that is something to budget for, that maybe, on average, it might take a month to a month and a half to get your vehicle approved, you get your TLC license, and you're ready to go. So there's all these different things, as you can see. You have to bring, obviously money, because it's going to cost you some money. You have to submit your application. There's a lot of little things to kind of do, as you can see here as well. You have to upgrade your license, complete your free defensive driving course, complete drug testing, fingerprinting, etc., etc., etc. So, as you can see already, New York just has a lot more requirements. It is kind of frustrating if you're like, look, Mark, I just want to sign up and drive. Like here in LA, pretty easy. In Boston, where I originally started driving, pretty easy. But in New York, a lot of specific things. Maybe it's because New York is such a crazy city. I honestly don't know why it's this ridiculously strict, but I don't know. And then lastly, let's go to the vehicle requirements in terms of like the general ones. So most cars obviously qualify for Uber X. You just need, 4 doors. The qualifications for Uber X itself, once you get past all the TLC stuff and the licensing and whatnot, they're pretty easygoing about that, but like I said, up here, you need the TLC insurance and the plating. This is kind of the biggest bottleneck, in my opinion, in terms of getting everything ready. Overall, when it comes to the driver requirements, the biggest thing, 4-door, 2006 or newer. That's pretty much it. They say good condition with no cosmetic damage. They usually don't really inspect that. I think they're just saying that because they want to make sure that the car doesn't look like a complete, just, something that got pulled off the dump or whatever. But I feel like for most cars, they look great. No commercial branding. And then, of course, need to get it inspected. So that's pretty much straightforward. Overall, driving in New York City and all the requirements, it is a lot. Especially, like I said, once you include the TLC and the special license and everything, it is frustrating. Although I'm not going to lie, and this is like a quick side note I want to say on this video, I wouldn't be surprised if this starts happening in more and more cities. It's been a massive debate all over, the country, even different parts of the world. Are Uber and Lyft drivers employees, or are they independent contractors? And once you make them employees, there are a lot of other things too. Should they get special commercial plates? Are they commercial drivers that require a special license? In New York City, even though for the most part you are an independent contractor, this may change, you do have to get like a special license, have a special mount. It's a lot more specific, as opposed to in most cities, it's pretty casual. You just say, yeah, I want to drive. You sign up, you give them your documents, and that's it. So keep that in mind. The biggest thing, though, I think overall when it comes to New York City that I really have to stress is, one, be prepared with the time. Like I said, 4 to 6 weeks for everything. 2, there are more rules about you as a driver. You have to do more inspections. You have to, like I said, you have a cap on how much you can drive. These are all things you have to keep in mind. And 3, and unfortunately, there is some money you do have to put up front. Now, I know with the TLC, for example, it's $252 for the TLC for a 3-year license. So $250, $252 for 3 years. So you do have to put some money up front. This also does not include, like, say, if you want to get your car inspected and other things that might cost you a little bit of money. So that is another thing to keep in mind. But I will say this. With all this being said, you may be like, well, Mark, oh my God, I didn't know New York is this crazy to sign up. New York, time and time again, has been rated by Rideshare, which does all these driver surveys, as one of the highest paying cities, period. So even though this is annoying, even though this is a huge hassle and a lot to kind of unpack and a lot to kind of do to start driving, New York is 100% one of those cities that you're almost guaranteed to make an insane amount of money.